boom, here we are. Season 5, episode 30, if you can believe it. And yeah, I'll tell you what, I don't think people realize the amount of dedication that sometimes we really put forth in the show. Granted, 8 minutes, that's it. But sometimes there's like a deeper dive, a deeper education. Pause. And we just did it. We endured a week in New Orleans just to really soak up and learn some cocktail knowledge to pass on to all the tens and tens of people that watch us. So, season 5, episode 30, we have got another great cocktail for you. It's from New Orleans. It's the Roffignac. I think I said it right. Mm-hmm. Just come on in. It's got history. What's amazing is we have done hundreds and hundreds of cocktails. And just when you thought, can there be yet another old classic cocktail we just didn't know about? Yeah, there is. So, Blue Monkey Quarantina, come on in. Only business, monkey business, and dogs. Stepping over, cat, walking around. Here we go, folks. Let's do it. It's time for the Blue Monkey Quarantina. Pause. It'll get here. There it is. Yeah. Woo! All right. It looks like it might be time to reset everything. Yes, we have your cocktail tonight, folks. Yeah, it is true. We just got back from New Orleans. New Orleans, I believe, is the proper way to... You know how I have horrible pronunciations. So I've really picked the test of a cocktail tonight. So here's what was interesting. Been to New Orleans many times. However, had not been back since COVID. Yeah. So I shared this because that means every time I went to New Orleans before this, I was just a normal, uneducated, non-cocktail snob kind of a guy. And now with, again, hundreds of cocktails under my belt and barely the knowledge, but some knowledge, I realized all the historical cocktails that have come from New Orleans. So while we were down there, just to give you a quick, this is not the whole trip, but we went to Sazerac House, which is located at the Roosevelt Hotel. And in that bar, it's the fourth Sazerac House because it's moved and been torn down and whatever. And of course, we had Sazerac. One of the first cocktails we had when we got there. Not true. First cocktail we had was actually at the Carousel Bar.
Yes, that's a true statement.
That's a true statement. And then later we went off. We found ourselves, we had the Pim's Cup. Pim's Cup, a lot of people don't know, it's got New Orleans tie, even though it's from London, but it was brought to New Orleans in the form of one Napoleon House bar. We did not go to the Napoleon House bar, though. We had it, though, at 4 Jacks. 5 Jacks.
2 Jacks.
2 Jacks. 2 Jacks. It's called 2 Jacks. It's French. Anyway, I was just having fun. We went to Peychaud's bar, named for and because of Peychaud's Bitters from New Orleans. And they have some great classic cocktails.
It was his house.
It was his house at one point in time. And so they have the namesake. And we did a Peychaud Fizz. And that was delicious. Also, a fun thing we did, we actually had some tiki while we were there. Ended up at a couple of tiki bars, including Latitude 29, which is owned and operated by none other than Beach Bum Barry, who we've talked about on the show, who basically is the one who kind of figured out all of the hidden cocktail recipes, tiki recipes of Trader Vic and Don Beach. Yep. So anyway, he has his own bar. It's the only bar he has, and it's in New Orleans. We did that. That was fantastic. One of my favorites was one of the last bars we went to, and that was the Monolito.
Yep.
Yeah. Monolito, who was a former bartender it was named after Monolito. He was a bartender at the Floridita in Havana. And apparently Havana was New Orleans' sister city at one point. And he came to New Orleans, brought some of his stuff, and so we did the Floridita, and they had Papa's Doble. That was fantastic. And one of the other bars we went to was the Jewel of the South. Now, this is the premier bar in New Orleans right now. Every bar we went to, we asked the bartenders. We had a running list. I don't have it on me, but it'll be hanging in a bar soon. And we had this running list of every time we went to a good cocktail bar, said, where else should we go? And these bartenders would scribble down another bar for us. And we ended up with this great long list. And by the end, everyone's like, oh my God, you've hit every great bar on here, right?
Correct.
But everybody always started off with Jewel of the South. So we ended up getting to the Jewel of the South. And what we learned is Jewel of the South, this is the new Jewel of the South. And the old Jewel of the South was from the 1800s. And the bartender there is credited with giving us the brandy crusta, which we've done. I'm not doing that. But here's where this is all headed. When we were at these bars, there was always a list of New Orleans cocktails. And it was always kind of the same things, right? The Sazerac, the Hurricane, the Pim's Cup, the brandy crusta.
The View. What was that?
Which one was it?
There's a View. I can't remember.
Vucre.
Yeah, Bougueray.
Yeah. And we've done them all. I said, we've done them all. And then there's this one drink that just kept popping up every once in a while. And that was the Roffignac. Roffignac. Like cognac. It's such a hard word for me. Roffignac? Roffignac.
I don't know, that's how to pronounce it.
Roffignac. Yeah, Roffignac. Which sounds bad. But anyway, it was delicious. And it's got such great history. This is coming to you from 1820. So it's named after Count Louis Philippe Joseph de Roffignac. And he was the mayor of New Orleans from 1820 to 1828. Claim to fame, the only French-born mayor of New Orleans. Claim to fame, was the one who got almost all of the streets paved while he was there. Oh, I have more. He was the first one to put up gas street lights through New Orleans. Yeah. He brought in the first fire department, started public schools. Just learned this one. There's even a style of oysters named after him. It's a baked oyster with mushrooms,
How did we not have that?
garlic, and red wine.
Missed that.
It's that one. But his other thing, the man had a cocktail. Yes, he did. The Roffignac. And anyway, we had it. It was delicious, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And but it's making a bit of a comeback. And I'm going to for God's sakes, I'll just make the cocktail. I'm going to make the cocktail. It's not a tough one. Well, it's not a tough one. It's a little bit odd because of what's in it, and I think that's why a lot of people don't make it. Because there's one ingredient that you're going to have to make, but once you learn how to make it, you'll be like, oh, okay, this is easy. So here's what we start off with. A little bit of ice. We're coming in with cognac. And 2 ounces per. So 2 for me. And then, of course, 2. And there's one for Shelby. You'll see some recipes that will say that you can use whiskey. However, the classic recipe always goes to the cognac. It's a nod to Roffignac because it's French and he's French and all that. Here's the odd ingredient. What looks like red sort of some syrup or whatever. This is actually Raspberry Shrub. Shrub, folks. It's a thing. It's a cocktail thing.
It's not a bush, it's a shrub.
It's not a bush, it's a shrub. It's basically, there's a lot of ways to do it, but it's kind of a partially fermented fruit with a vinegar base. So it's also known as drinking vinegar, which doesn't make it sound any better, but that's what they call it. Anyway, this drink specifically calls for raspberry shrub. Here's how you make any shrub. It is basically you take fruit and you mix it with sugar. You put it in a jar and you shake it up and you let it sit for about 3, 4, maybe 5 days. It starts to build a little bit of fermentation, add vinegar to it, and then it's done. That's it. That's a shrub. It's basically equal parts of fruit, sugar, and vinegar. What kind of fruit? Any kind of fruit. You can do any kind of fruit you can think of. They even make a watermelon shrub. Now, what kind of vinegar? That gets a little more interesting. White vinegar you can use, stronger one. It's going to have more punch to it. Apple cider vinegar, it's what we use. That's kind of a nice, good entry point. But you can use just champagne vinegar, rice vinegar. Some of them, some of the shrubs, some people suggest using a balsamic vinegar. But now these all have there's a bite to them.
I'd say a tang.
A tang. Yes, it's a tang for sure. And you can do this hot or cold. If you do it the cold way, again, it takes about 3, 4, 5 days. But you can do a hot shrub method, which is what I did today. And that's where you cook down your sugar with a little bit of water and fruit to speed up the process. And then add your vinegar, cook it a little bit, and then it's done. Most people say the cold method is better, but since we just got back and I had to make this drink today, I didn't have a choice. Anyway, there's your shrub. And we're going to add 1 ounce per, so total of 2 ounces total. So it is kind of a great viscosity because it's got, your sugar in it, everything like that. Folks, that's it. Give that a little shake. We saw a lot of shakes, didn't we? We had our cocktail on.
We were not bourbon streeting it.
No, we did not. Although we hit Patos.
We did.
We had to go see our friends Vicky and our best to them, everything, and to Doug, and I mean that was awesome. So I can tell you right now, can you smell the shrub?
Yep.
You can smell it. It smells delicious. I mean, it's not like a bad thing, but so here's what you do. You're going to pour that into your glasses. You're going to save room.
Shrubs have become popular.
Shrubs are, yeah, I agree. I think you're starting to see more.
We see them in a lot of cocktail bars lately.
So they
upscale cocktail bars.
And I think they went out of, so there was a bar, Malise, that was in New Orleans that this was their signature drink, the Roffignac. But it closed in like 1996, 92. And then the drink kind of disappeared. And I think a lot of it is that shrub. It's like a elevated thing to make.
They're making bitters and shrubs now.
Yes. And that's the thing. So you can go with a shrub. You can get crazy with it once you figure it out. And what I mean by that is you can spice it up. You can add other elements to it, herbs, all sorts of stuff. Now, coming in with our emergency, but not just any emergency, folks. No. We have got...
You broke out the raspberry.
I broke out the good stuff.
Wow.
Raspberry emergency. Yeah. Brought to you from 1820s. Roffignac, he did this too. The streets were paved with emergency.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to give that a little boom, boom. And then the other true garnish, we're going to do just a little lime. Why did they put 12 stickers on the line? I'll never know. All right. But I will say the amount of great cocktail bars that are in New Orleans is unbelievable. Would you not agree?
No, they were spectacular.
I mean, it was
one was just
bar none.
fun, yeah.
All right, folks, there it is. There is your Roffignac. Give it a try. Oh, yes. So, here's what's great about this. This is an absolute summer sipper, and we got some summer left. You could just, this is just a great, easy drink.
Technically, we don't have summer left.
Well, true. We have summer weather left.
Okay.
So, let me bring this around. Let me just show you that little beauty. Oh, wait for it.
Ooh.
Ooh. Ah. Do you want to? I don't want you to be left out.
Thank you.
There you go.
Tasty.
Right? So it just gives you a little tartness.
It needs to.
Do you want to stir?
Well, it's kind of stuck down there.
All right, hold on. Let's.
I'm not getting full. There we go. It was pretty that way.
It was pretty, but no, I'm with you. I'm going to give it another try.
Oh yeah.
Is that it? Is it even better?
Yeah, it is.
Hold on. Oh, yeah, you're right. Now we really hit it. It's a fantastic drink. Now, you know everything about this drink. You know how to make the shrub. We know it's named for Roffignac, but the question is always why. So there's 3 stories. I'll give them to you real quick. Number one, there are people that believe, and this is the most popular, but maybe not the most plausible, that Roffignac himself created it. That this was something that he came up with, he loved it, he drank it, and people ran with it. When he became mayor, that was it. That's one. The next story is probably the least plausible, but it's the best one. And that was, when he was mayor, there were kids on the street, on 2 sides of a street, and they were having a firework battle. They were throwing like little fireworks at each other across the street. And he, as mayor, decided he had to break this up. So he brought out, story has it, 20 military with bayonets, and they marched down the street, and the mayor walks up to the kids and basically rips open his shirt and says, are you here to protest the country or to come after our land? He made this whole ordeal about it, bare-chested, bayonet in the air. And at that point, the story goes, the kids all threw fireworks at him, and they hit him on his bare chest, and he screamed, and anyway, the skirmish was over. But people laughed at all this because there was people watching it. And of course, it was just apparently a funny thing. And the story is, as a bartender then made this drink in recognition of him for his, protection of the land. The third one, and this is the least fun, but the most plausible, is there is actually a cognac named Roffignac Cognac from the 1800s. Much like the Sazerac is named after the Sazerac, whiskey, so is the Roffignac named after the cognac that it was used. You decide. Whatever you do, just go make one, because it is delicious.
It truly is.
Folks, there it is. That's our adventures from New Orleans. Before we go, I got to remind people, if you're out there, we got a coat drive coming up. I got to start pushing this, right?
Yeah, we do. We need spots. We have cocktail spots available.
We do. So you can go to the bluemonkeyquarantina.com or go to coatdrive.org.
Order your cocktail.
Order a cocktail. Now, we did sell a bunch. We've probably sold, I'm going to say, at least 25 so far.
We've got 75
That means we have 75 to go. I'll put up a chart next time with a little thermometer.
go.
All right. So here it is. So final parts. We have a bunch of cocktails still left. Go to the coatdrive.org. You can order yours. Also, I'll make a chart that looks like a cocktail glass slowly being filled with 100. I'm on that. And spread the word. The other thing is we want people to visit. So send us a message. Tell us you want to be here. It's November 11th, 8 p.m. Saturday, goes all the way to 8 p.m. on Sunday. You're welcome. All of you. Anybody wants to come, just stop by, spend the night, whatever you want to do. I'd say we have places for you to sleep, but there's no sleeping. We're up all night. But you can come anytime you want, and we'd love to have you. So until next week, cheers from New Orleans. Well, it's not from New Orleans. It's from the Blue Monkey Quarantina. Folks, we're out. We'll see you next Sunday. Cheers.